Mind Reset Part 1. Table of Contents. Introduction. Chapter 1. What are limiting beliefs? Chapter 2. How to make your own luck by changing your thoughts, the law of attraction. Chapter 3. What would make your life better? Knowing what to change. What's bothering you? Your eulogy. Analyze your role models. The five-fold why. Your past. Chapter 4. Letting go. Get stuck in. Have a send-off. Recognize the value. The empty chair. CBT. Chapter 5. Implicit memory. Types of implicit memory. Studies and how to use implicit memory. Illusion of truth effect. Implications. Chapter 6. Mindfulness and cognitive restructuring. What is cognitive restructuring? Mindfulness. Replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. Chapter 7. Confidence and self-worth. Living in the now. Working out. CBT and self-esteem. Chapter 8. Body language and dressing for the life you want. Dress for the life you want. Power positions and body language. Just smile. What a smile does for our mood. What a smile does for us socially. Chapter 9. Meditation. Putting it all together. Introduction. We all have goals and aims, and we all have an idea of what we would like our lives to be like. Despite this though, many of us fail to reach those goals or to actualize our dreams. Why is this? Or to put it another way, what is it that's holding you back? There's a good chance that you already know what the answer is likely to be. It's you. All of us have at some point been responsible for getting in our own way at one point or another. Either because of limiting beliefs, or because of poor habits and lack of discipline. How many times have you decided that you want to make a change in your life by getting into shape, or starting a new business, or starting a new job, only to then make zero progress in those areas? What possible reason could you have for this? Often it comes down to a lack of faith in yourself. It comes down to limiting beliefs about who you are, what you're worth, even how you're meant to behave. Limiting beliefs are incredibly destructive, largely because we often don't realize they're affecting us. They sit quietly in our unconscious brains and gradually prevent us from fulfilling our full potential. And more than that, they make us unhappy. They give us a sense of pessimism, which can color everything we do in unflattering tones. These beliefs act as your reference point. They inform every decision and opinion you make. They form your internal operating system. In other words, every feeling, thought, and experience that you have will effectively flow out of these beliefs. If you don't replace them with positive ones, then you won't be able to get the most out of life, or enjoy it even if you do. The good news though, is that the brain is plastic. It is always changing, and even our very thoughts are capable of changing the structure of our DNA. This incredible fact means that it's entirely possible to transform the way you think, to reset that operating system as it were, and to thereby live a happier and more fulfilled life. Chapter 1. What are limiting beliefs? I'm going to start out by providing a few examples of limiting beliefs. This can be a somewhat abstract concept to grasp, but when you see them laid out before you, it becomes much easier to understand. The person who can't start their own business. Let's say that you have a business idea. You're going to provide coaching for small businesses and help them get up and started. You'll charge a relatively low flat fee, but then the company will pay you a slightly larger fee a year later as long as their earnings have passed a certain threshold. Nice idea. Your model involves selling direct to the customer, and the way you plan to do this is by looking for them on Instagram. You will find people who post about a business plan, then you'll private message them and simply start chatting. If you spot an opportunity to sell, you'll pounce. That's the soft sell approach. And it means you can build a relationship and demonstrate your value before you charge. Here's the problem though, you're too scared to contact anyone. Every day you put off messaging your clients out of the blue, and you can't quite put your finger on why. Chances are it comes down to some limiting beliefs. You don't believe anyone would pay for your business idea. You are worried that if you fail, you'll lose something that has been keeping you motivated. You are a shy person and don't like to disturb people. 3 limiting beliefs, holding you back from capitalizing on your dreams, perhaps even getting rich. The person who won't leave their current job, relationship. Let's try another situation. Let's say you're in a job or a relationship that makes you unhappy. It really doesn't matter which, but you know it won't provide you fulfillment. But you stay there anyway. Why? Because you feel it's the best you're going to get. You think that if you terminate the relationship, you'll end up loveless. Likewise, you'll find yourself on the street if you quit your current job. A lack of esteem means that you don't think you can get better. You effectively think you aren't worth more than that. And this then leads you to make some terrible mistakes. Some people will even stay in abusive relationships because they don't feel that they will find anything better. Some even feel that they deserve the abuse they receive. The author who throws away his novel. Did you know that when Stephen King first wrote Carrie, he threw it in the trash? It was his wife who retrieved it for him and told him he was being crazy. Turns out that we often can't recognize our own good work, or we're too scared to believe in it. Now compare this to someone like J.K. Rowling, who persistently kept sending out her manuscript for Harry Potter despite it being rejected over and over. Imagine if Rowling had King's lack of self-belief. The person who won't approach a group of friends. The sad truth of it is that for some people, limiting beliefs are so powerful that they won't even go and speak to their own friends. They believe that they'll stutter, or that their friends don't want them there. They think they have nothing to contribute to the conversation. The person who keeps smoking. Not all limiting beliefs can seem like negative things on the face of it. For example, how about your sense of self? We all have a sense of who we are, but most of us don't think of this as a limiting belief. Of course, who you think you are is not always limiting, but it can be. The perfect example of this is what happens when you get stuck in type thinking. This is when you think that you are a certain type of person, or that you have a certain set of traits, and then you let that dictate who you are going forward. For example, you might have a reputation for being the class clown. As a result, you always cause a ruckus in the office and draw attention to yourself. Eventually, this starts to hurt your career, but you feel as though you can't change that about yourself, as it's something you're known for and an integral part of your personality. Likewise, you might not want to stop smoking because you have always smoked. You might not want to improve your diet because you love being known as the guy who eats everything. You might not approach clients because you think of yourself as shy. As you can see then, limiting beliefs really can be extremely problematic and hurt every aspect of your life, and we've still only touched on a few. For this reason, it's time to start doing something about them. Chapter 2: How to make your own luck by changing your thoughts. What many people don't realize is that they can actually become luckier by changing their beliefs about themselves and what will happen in their lives. This sounds absurd, but it makes a lot of sense once you understand the logic behind it all. People tend to think that luck is something that is out of their control. After all, that's pretty much the definition of luck. Luck is good things happening to you often that you did not directly cause. Luck is winning the lottery, luck is finding a tenner on the floor, and luck is being in the right place at the right time and meeting the person who becomes the love of your life, offers you that amazing job. But while luck might seem out of our hands, we all know some people who just seem to have all the luck. These are the people who have all the good things happen to them and almost seem to have a charmed life. And for one person to be that consistently lucky, it seems a little statistically improbable. So what's really going on here? It all begins with changing your self-perception and your attitude. And you've already taken the first step by signing up. The law of attraction. You may have heard of the law of attraction. This is the idea that what you put out into the world ultimately dictates what you get back. That is, you act, so you will become. Again, this might sound like nonsense, but stop and think about how this might work. Acting like someone who is very successful might mean dressing smarter, acting more assertive and confident, taking on more responsibility, and even walking taller. If you genuinely believe you are successful or destined for success, then you will exude this certainty in everything you do. As a result, you will give off a number of signs that tell people you are successful and confident. They will see you strutting in your smart suit and they will think there's a successful and capable person. And you know what? They will be more likely to offer you more work, to give you promotions, and to generally help you to succeed as a result. You've heard the expression, dress for the job you want. Well, actually, you shouldn't just be dressing like a pro. You should be taking on that whole personality in every way that you can, so that you give off that aura of success, confidence, and smarts. The law of attraction also works in other ways too. Did you know that people who have nicer things often get better Christmas presents? That's because people know that their gifts need to be special to stand out and to deserve a place in their home. You should give people with less the better presents because they would appreciate them more, but that's not how life works. Nice things attract more nice things. This is the law of attraction. The bottom line here is that if you don't believe you are capable of greatness, then you likely won't act as though you are. And if you don't act as though you are, you won't be. Hang your head feeling shy and vulnerable, and that is how people will perceive you and therefore treat you. Be scared of everything and you won't take chances that could end up improving your life for the better. But be bold, proud, and powerful, and you can achieve amazing things and transform the way others see you. You can't fake it until you make it, but better is to read the subsequent chapters and see how to actually change your very beliefs from the inside out. To give yourself a total mind reset. Chapter 3: What would make your life better? Now you know that your beliefs shape your future. The next step is to decide what you need to change. To do that, you need to ask yourself what would make your life better. In a perfect world, you'd replace all negative beliefs and reset yourself to be happier and more content. In reality, this is work that takes time, so it makes sense to focus on areas that need the most improvement. What's your priority? A better job? A better relationship? More confidence? Here's how to choose. Knowing what to change. All of us want to live a happy and fulfilled life, and as such we are generally willing to work toward the future we want and to put in the time and effort necessary to go after the things we want. And the good news? Even if you don't quite achieve your goals anytime soon, the simple fact that you have goals and are working toward them will normally be enough to give your life focus and so help you to feel happy and fulfilled. The problem then arises though when you realize that you aren't quite sure what it is that you actually want from life. How can you work towards something if you don't know what it is that you need? And how can you be happy if you don't know what it is that you bring you happiness? This is the plight that many of us face, and that leaves us drifting directionless and without fulfillment. But the good news is that there are many techniques and strategies to help you to overcome these problems and to get more from life. Here we will look at what some of those are. What's bothering you? One way to identify what you need and what makes you happy is to start by identifying what doesn't make you happy, and most of us have a laundry list of things that are right now playing on our minds. So if you can identify these things that you want to change, Suddenly you can see what kind of lifestyle it is that would make you somewhat happier. How can you work toward getting rid of these issues? Your eulogy. While it might sound quite morbid, writing your own eulogy can actually be a very uplifting and enlightening process. Here what you are writing down is what you would ideally like people to say about you after you died. By writing down the eulogy you would like to hear, you can this way identify the things that are important to you and the sort of person you want to be. Then, you will be able to live your life in such a way that you are able to live that legacy. If you want to be remembered as a family man, then make sure you spend more time with your family. If you want to be remembered as an innovator, then start thinking about how you can improve the field you work in or bring something new to the table. Analyze your role models. Another thing you can do is to look at your role models and to think about what it is that you respect about them. Here are people who you clearly think of as having made it, and who you obviously think are successful, so by mimicking them you can feel that way about yourself in theory. One thing to do here is to look at the similarities between your different role models. What traits do they have in common? Because chances are that these are traits you will really respect. The five-fold why. The five-fold why is a self-development technique that challenges yourself to ask yourself a question and then follow it up with 5 whys. This allows you to get to the core of your answer and to learn about yourself in the process. So what do you want to do? Become a fireman. Why do you want that? To feel like you're helping others. And why do you want that? To get a sense of gratitude. Suddenly you have shed light on your motivations and you are more able to go after the things you want. Your past. Another thing to do is to look into your past. So far of all the things you've achieved and of all the experiences you've had, which mean the most to you. By looking at what brought you fulfillment in the past, you can learn about what might bring you fulfillment in the future. Once you've gone through these exercises and seeing the things you want for yourself, the next question is, why aren't you there yet? As we've seen already, the answer is almost definitely down to your own beliefs about yourself and about the world. So now you know what you want to accomplish, you can hone in on the beliefs you need to change. Chapter 4, Letting Go. Learning to let go is a very difficult skill to develop, but it's also one of the most valuable and important if you really want to reset your mind and attack life with a new positivity and determination. The unfortunate truth is that many of us are defined by our past experiences and we allow them to color and guide our future behaviors and judgments. If you have had a traumatic experience in your past, then this can stay with you and cause you to feel as though you might have further bad luck in future. We often don't give ourselves fully to relationships because of bad relationships we've had in the past. And likewise, old experiences with parents and school friends can shape the way we see ourselves. If you are to move on with a positive mindset, you need to clear the emotional baggage first. This is something we will all have to go through at one time or another. While you shouldn't bury or ignore painful emotions, it is important to embrace them and then move on so that you can get on with your life. Wallowing in despair and feeling upset is not a constructive response to any situation, and ultimately it will of course result in your failing to build new attachments and to move on with your life. Here we will look at some ways you can move on and overcome emotions that potentially might be crippling you and preventing you from getting on with your life. Get stuck in. Letting go of people and relationships is very different from letting go of projects and ideas. If you have lost a thing, lost a lot of money, or lost your work on a new novel for instance, then there is no real emotional aspect to deal with in the same way as there is for a relationship, and it's not going to help you at all to spend time wallowing in your upset. As such then, the best solution is to simply move on and focus instead on restarting from scratch. And the best way to do that? That's to simply pick up the pieces and get on with a plan to rebuild. The sooner you rebuild, the less you've lost. Have a send-off. Whatever it is that you have lost, it's important to deal with those emotions and to get closure. This is why a funeral and a wake are so important following the death of a loved one, as they allow us to say goodbye and close that chapter in our lives. You can have a send-off for anything though, whether it's someone you loved or your business. You can even have a celebration to mark the end to an influential time in your life, or even to the old you. This can actually be a very good way to get rid of the type thinking that we already discussed. Recognize the value. The expression, "it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all," might not seem comforting to those who have done the former, but it is actually very true. Whether or not the person, relationship or possession is gone, you will have learned and grown from the experience. When you realize that they have left a lasting impression on you and changed who you are, then you realize that a part of them is indeed living on. The empty chair. Sometimes part of the difficulty with letting go of a loved one or a relationship is that you still have unresolved issues that you haven't had a chance to overcome, and sometimes things go unsaid until it's too late. To help you to move on, then it's often useful to get these issues off of your chest by talking to a chair that you imagine they are sitting on. Another very useful one is to write a letter to them that you then destroy afterwards. CBT. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, which basically consists of identifying the negative thoughts you have and then replacing them with more positive ones. Come up with some helpful positive affirmations such as, "They're at peace now," or, "They're a part of who I am still," and next time you find yourself ruminating in emotionally damaging ways, instead try repeating these phrases. While they may be of little comfort at first, over time you can find that they become habitual and replace your negative thoughts permanently. We'll be looking at CBT more in Chapter 6. These techniques will help you to let go of feelings, memories, and experiences that are currently shaping your beliefs in a negative way. The key is to do this in a healthy way though, not to simply shut out any negative memories.